Welcome back, all my 40K fanatics out there. I'm DJ here with Tim's Nation to bring you my list preview that will be taking Lane on later this evening. Lane has been talking a lot about the Dev Watch, about this list that just deals devastating wounds. He has said many times that he doesn't like it when his opponents make armor saves, so he built a list that says, no, you don't get an armor save. Well, my friend, I'm bringing a list that says I may not get a save, but I'll get a feel no pain on some big bulky wound models. Today, this army is for my cronies as I bring the Necrons back. I bring Canoptek Court back. In my list that I took to a tournament and have still had success with it, did very well at that event, and then it went to the shelf. So now this list will be coming back off the shelf to face Lane this evening. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please do turn on the bell and get notified on all the content we bring you here on the channel, including Lane's list description. It's going to be a good one, talking about the Dev Wound list and his Dev DeathWatch. Fun with that one. Also, get to see the battle report. Now, real quick about the battle report before we get back into the smack talking. This weekend has been extremely busy. I work in food service, and we had WrestleMania, the women's NCAA finals, the Cleveland Guardians home opener, the men's NCAA finals, and the Eclipse. And for some reason, the Eclipse was a time that a lot of people wanted to order food. It really was a thing. I did not feel like I was going to make it home Monday evening in time. So Lane and I pushed the game back one day this week. I will be getting this video out, is coming out at its normal time, or will be out at its normal time during the day. But Lane's will come out the next morning, and then I should have the actual battle report out by Thursday. So I do apologize for the delay. Very busy time of year, very busy season. But more importantly, if I'm bringing the Canoptek Court back on the channel, if I'm bringing my Necrons back out here, if I'm bringing my 3-0 at a tournament undefeated list, I don't remember what it did on the channel, but as far as that tournament, it went 3-0 and then hit the shelf. And I'm bringing this back on the channel. I want to be rested. I want to be ready to go. Because like Lane said, he doesn't like when people make armor saves. Well, I got feel no pains. This is the Canoptek Court, baby, and we're bringing wraiths, and we got spiders. All right. So let's go talk about this list and give a reminder of what I am bringing today. All right, here it is, the Canoptek Harvest, my Canoptek Court. And if you can't tell already that I'm very jazzed up about WrestleMania, being a huge wrestling fan, here is an area that I'm working on to be able to photograph models on as well, specifically my Necrons because of their Degeneration X color scheme. This is on one of my card playmat for when I play card games. It was custom made by a buddy of mine, G, who's been on the channel. And it all includes the fact of a nickname that I picked up out here in my gaming community. And I'm just so happy because anyone who knows how gaming nicknames go, and when you have names that other gamers give, they can get pretty out there. And just because a wrestling fan and a couple other jokes, I got the nickname The Game. I am very happy with that one. I will take that one. I'm happy. I rolled a natural 20 on this stat check. Let's take it. So here it is, the Canoptek Court on my wrestling game mat. And what are we bringing? Well, this is, like I said, the identical list, which means I will still have the Immortal in here for some damage output. And I'm bringing back my Canoptek Tombstalkers, my Sentinels, all this jazz. All right. First things first, Canoptek Tomb Sentinels. I like these guys a lot. They have deep strike. So with this list, one thing I noticed in the last game I played was it was very easy to keep this list under control, keep everything on the board, and kind of keep me at arm's length. And I didn't like not having a deep strike option. Originally, I thought Ophidians, because Ophidians are probably the best Necron unit at doing this. But there's something about the Canoptek Tomb Sentinels. One, they're Canoptek. Two, they get Armor of Contempt when they're near a objective marker. And they get +1 AP when attacking a unit on an objective marker. And I say attacking because it's also in combat. Granted, that's not exactly where you want these guys. They're better in the shooting phase. But when you take an objective marker, knowing the fact that these guys can at least fend back a little bit with 9 wounds and a toughness 9, a 3-up save, and a 4-up invuln, it's nice to be able to at least hit something if something small is trying to tie you up and be annoying. They're a monster, so they do get big guns never tire effect, so it's kind of not really necessary to tie them up, but needless to say, it's there if you need it. These guys can deep strike, so I have at least a threat to corners or objective markers that a opponent may think is safe. They stickied it, they're going to roll away, as Lane did to me with his Votan. Here's a deep strike threat and a very fast-moving unit as that. Now we'll go over to another fast unit, the Canoptek Wraiths, because these guys play in with why the Sentinels. So the Canoptek Wraiths, toughness 4 wounds, 3-up invuln, a 3-up save with a 4-up invuln. I'll get their stats right once one day. But yes, they're 3-up, 4-up with a toughness 6. These guys are super durable. They will be led by a Technomancer, of course. I have to. One of the Technomancers will have the ability to infiltrate. This will be really nice to be able to get these guys on objectives early. Now, Wraiths do well out of the Canoptek Court because they can reroll their hits. But at the same time, they still have a weaker strength characteristic to go into some bigger things. They do well into infantry, but we have a lot of other stuff that also does really well into infantry. What these guys excel at is because they can take a particle caster, which is a pistol, and the Technomancer for the 5-up feel no pain that's going to be with them, means that these guys are very difficult to move off objectives and are OC2. These guys can hold objectives down for a very long time and complete objective-based secondary actions when they're in combat. So all in all, the resilience behind these guys is phenomenal. Offensive-wise, little lacking, but that's not where they shine. They shine on the ability to play the missions better than most units can. And at that same time, I know someone's going to be like, well, they're 2 damage. Yes, they're 2 damage. Yes, they're strength 6, because yes, I'm taking the Vicious Claws on all of them. I don't need the whip coils and the extra attacks coming off the squad, especially with some of the other inclusions in this army. That's what I need from. I need the AP, I need the damage to be able to kind of chew off some of these units that might get on objective and make life rough. Now, the answer I do have for those big units is the Canoptek Doomstalkers. The Canoptek Doomstalkers are, I absolutely love these things. You're noticing the trend. I'm a big fan of Canoptek units. So the Canoptek Doomstalker, this gun, and here we go. Undesirable to undeniable is what these weapons are. Originally, pre-Codex, the Doomstalker was very, very lacking. There was some things you could do with it. Its point cost made it a nice alternative for the Annihilation Barge when the Annihilation Barge went up in points, but it was very difficult to look at the two. I personally preferred the Doomstalkers because of the size. The Annihilation Barge was very awkward for me in some of my armies that I played. But now, with the Canoptek Court, the Doomstalkers are super good. For their value, for their cost, and having full rerolls to hit, as long as they're in my deployment zone, is awesome. Love it. The damage output is good. The 3 damage is good. The strength is good. Even if you're going into a high wound target, like I've seen with Land Raiders and Hecaton Land Fortresses, you're still putting enough reliable damage that it's worth shooting at these things. Now, I talked about infantry. I talked about anti-infantry and saying I have enough of it. First of all, one of my, again, favorite units, the Canoptek Tomb Spiders. I love spiders. I have loved these guys forever, and I always love making them work. Basically, if you haven't looked at these data sheets for a Canoptek Court, you are missing out. These guys hit like thunder hammers. And when you give them a particle beamer, it's 2 guns per spider, 4 guns per unit of 2. You take these guys and you shoot them at a 20-man brick of anything, it is 4d6 plus 16 shots going into them. You will have full rerolls to hit at a better ballistic skill, because particle casters get a better ballistic skill for some reason. Particle weapons do, at least. And whatever you hit with also has dev wounds. It's just sheer sprayed firepower. It can do work into vehicles with those dev wounds. Obviously not as much, but they pick up infantry very, 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 very well. Now, before we get into the last unit, the centerpiece, we'll talk about some of the characters real quick. I do have the 2 Technomancers I talked about. One will have Infiltrate. The other will not have any enhancement or anything else. And these guys will be put with the Wraiths. Allowing me to infiltrate 1 squad of Wraiths is nice to be able to get them, be able to make a threat on 2 objective markers off the rip is great. I love it. And I want to continue doing that with this playstyle. I also have a squad of Crypt Thralls. I almost forgot to take a picture of these guys, so they're hanging out on the table right there. And I think it's a very fitting place for them to be, because the Crypt Thralls don't actually have a home. That doesn't mean they're walking by themselves. It is dependent on my opponent's army on where they go. I can put them with the Wraiths, since there's a Technomancer with there. And I do enjoy putting 2 Crypt Thralls with the Wraith squad that is infiltrating, because these guys can be put up in the front. And even though they have a lower move characteristic, they're still able to keep up in a sense, because the other Wraiths are moving from the back to the front. And I don't feel like I'm losing a lot of movement, because I still have Wraiths up front that can get that extra move out of this unit. Yes, these guys get dragged along, but in those scenarios, I feel like the Wraiths are in a position where I'm probably going to get hit on the first couple of turns. So I'm expecting that I put the damage on the Crypt Thralls end up dying, and I still have the Wraith at a good, strong squad size to be able to threaten the objective. Last in this army is the Immortals. Now, those who know the original rule, the original Immortals were disgusting. Whatever variant you played, I choose to take a Translocation Shroud, 10 Immortals with Tesla, and a Chronomancer. The Chronomancer, some chose a Plasmancer for the 5-up crit. I prefer the shoot and move. I like to have the momentum of the unit and the versatility behind it. Translocation Overlord, auto advance 6. He's great, especially with that Chronomancer, and especially with Tesla, and especially because they're assault weapons. So early on, there is a little stratagem that the Canoptek court had. You would use this stratagem that was a 2 CP strat, but it was a battle tactic, which meant you could use it on this unit for free. And when you used it for free because of the Overlord, you suddenly gave a Cryptek unit devastating wounds. Well, the Immortals have this beautiful little ability that whenever they're shooting at a unit that's on an objective marker, they can re-roll the to wound roll. So they can fish for dev wounds. They get to re-roll 1s if the unit is not, but you can fish for devastating wounds against a Land Raider that is parked on an objective marker. The amount of damage these guys put out was disgustingly high. I loved it. However, now the stratagem has been changed. It only targets the Cryptek model in the unit. Now, that doesn't mean I will not use it on the unit, because it is a 0 CP strat. It is what I can use because it is a battle tactic, and I have the Overlord there. So why not give my Chronomancer dev wounds on his Aeon Stave? Okay, it's D6 shots with Blast. That's not bad. Maybe get dev wounds. I've used it a couple of times and gone, oh, look, I rolled a 6. Here, take a dev wound. It's free. Why not give my Las Pistols dev wounds? I love it. Lane does it too. So this is the list. I did keep the Tesla Immortals in there for this list, because I do still like their sheer volume, their firepower they put out. I do like their ability transferring over into the Overlord, and that kind of combat damage off of the Translocation Overlord is really nice, especially when this unit is going after an objective marker versus one other unit. Having that Overlord there able to kick out a little bit of extra damage is nice. Mortals have 2 attacks apiece as it is, so even the 2 attacks coming in with full rerolls to hit if I have a power matrix is also really strong. These guys are objective control too, so they have a good chance of taking that objective marker, and again, rerolling wounds against units on objective markers. So 2 attacks apiece, full rerolls to hit, full rerolls to wound. Even though I do not have any AP, it's still a good volume of attacks coming in, and then giving all those abilities to the Overlord, who does have devastating wounds, can really, really, really be well, a good time. So yeah, I guess I'm kind of a little bit excited to play Necrons. I kind of rambled on there for a bit about this list. A lot of that was also kind of refreshing to go back through this and like, okay, why did I do this with this list? Why did I build this with this list? And I hope there was some value from what I was saying that was brought there for it, because there was a lot more of me reminding myself why I built this list this way and why I had these units in here and how to play them, especially when we're going into a list that has a heavy, heavy deep strike threat, as well as a turn where it can just put out so much damage and put so many units off the table with that Tome of Ectoclades. Seeing what I have available to be able to slow that down, it's definitely a refresher course that I need, because that DevWatch army is an army like no other. Again, if the opening was a little bit much, I am totally still jazzed up after WrestleMania, and I'm ready to just get on here and cut some promos. I am absolutely exhausted, but while doing this video, oh yeah, I'm ready for Lane's DevWatch. He's got a wall. He has a definitely big wall to climb with some of these Canoptek units, especially those Wraiths. It's going to be. He's got the damage. I got the feel no pain and some wounds. Let's see how it goes. All right, guys. As always, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.